It's time to follow the money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204.
A lot to get into here. The coach, David Thorpe, joins us on Tuesdays at this time. We're live in Las Vegas from the South Point Sportsbook. David, good morning. Thanks for the time. I want to begin with this. The NBA has been filled with parity, almost top to bottom, this entire season. And now we're at just about the quarter pole of the season, 20 games or so in. And I'll ask you this. You can answer this however you would like, good or bad, and numerous teams if you would like. I mean, the Jazz, the Grizzlies, the Kings, the Clippers, the Rockets, the Celtics, again, good or bad here. Which team would be your biggest surprise of the season to this point?
Oh boy! I mean, I don't think we thought Milwaukee would be, competing to win the East. I did think they had a big coaching upgrade. I thought they had some holes in their roster. I still do. But I would not have thought that they were going to be right there just because we thought Boston would be. So maybe the biggest surprise is Boston's been so average. Although, like we've talked about on the show before, their overwhelming talent is an issue, especially with the way it's constructed with young guys wanting to get more time and other players still in their prime. So, yeah, I mean, Portland's been pleasantly surprising. Oklahoma City and Memphis surprising as well. But Milwaukee, last night was a bad night for them, but they've been really good, and I think, and they've shot a ton of threes. So I'd probably say that's the most surprising thing.
What do you think's up with the slow starts here? Like the last 2 weeks with Milwaukee, slow getting out of the gate and down big in a lot of these home games before they have to rally.
I looked at them over the last couple of days. I'm not a guy that really is a big believer in what I call brand names. Either you can do it or you can't. I don't really care what your label is, but I don't love Malcolm Brogdon as a starting two guard for a contending team. I like him very much, both as a young man in terms of the kind of quality person you want your kids to be like. He's a good player, but I just don't see him as a starter for a contending team at his non-natural position. So I haven't looked at the numbers. I think actually his starting lineup's doing fine, but I think over time that's an issue that they're going to have to tweak a little bit. And I think they will. I think they have an outstanding coach, and he'll continue to figure stuff out. And as teams adjust to Milwaukee, especially as it relates to like Giannis and shooting and trying to keep him from getting the basket, they're gonna have to make some things happen. Which is why I think Malcolm's on the court. He's a very good shooter, but I just think they're missing some energy and some athleticism by playing him as a starting two.
Okay, interesting answer. And also, when you have such a long season, how do you rotations big and how many minutes you give guys? I mean, you look at this, the Rockets bench is killing them. Now, I guess we knew we kind of struggled going in because of the guys they lost and key role players. But, I mean, it's like 25th in shooting, 28th in points. It's been a disaster.
Yeah, that is not a surprise. I'm not really a big James Ennis fan. The players they have, even with Carmelo, I thought were going to be a problem for them, and that hasn't changed at all for me. It's an issue to the point where to me, it's hard to favor them as a team that's going to even get into the top four. Uh-huh. And if they don't make it to the top four and they've got to go on the road, we've talked about the parity in this league. Harden is on his own when, like last night when Chris Paul doesn't play. That he's not going to get healthier as the year goes on because he just does so much for them. If I'm Houston, it's a 5-alarm fire. They've got to do something. We're just about a quarter of the way through the season, and it's alarming to what's going on there. And I don't know that they have the assets. They really don't have the assets to make something happen. So they're going to have to do something different. They're not going to fire their coach, which is sometimes the easiest thing to do. That's not going to happen, nor should it. But, yeah, they've got some issues right now.
Who's the biggest disappointment?
I mean, I would probably say Houston, right?
Okay.
I think Boston is a team that actually, and I watched them last night, is more likely to turn things around just because, honestly, they're just more talented in terms of depth. They have a lot more good players than Houston does. Houston just has a better player than all of them, and when Chris Paul is healthy, they're probably fine. But I don't think that they're elite. Last year, I thought they were elite. Last year, I thought they could win the championship, and they almost did. The Wizards, I watched them last night, obviously against Houston, very disappointing as well. The Sixers, to me, have been fine. I thought they could be better. I want to say this, too. I'm not surprised with the Pistons, by the way, because I thought they could be kind of like the surprise team this year. I'm happy to see that I was at least mildly correct. They're not great, but they look like a playoff team, and that's a city and a franchise that sorely needs it. I'm really happy to see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Follow the money, Sirius XM 204 and fuboTV. The coach, David Thorpe, our guest. His book is called Basketball is Jazz. Follow him on Twitter at Coach Thorpe. So you see everything in this league. Did you see the way, I'm guessing you did here, the way that Jimmy Butler ended that game for the Sixers on Sunday against the Nets?
I did. I didn't watch it live. I've seen it on tape a few times.
Okay.
I don't love the shot he took.
Okay. Yeah. That was my question, David, because that bothered me for so many years in college basketball when players would just go dribble, down by one, they take a three. I'd be like, you don't. But in 2018 in the NBA, I don't know. Do some consider that a good shot?
I don't really care what some people think. I know it's not a good shot.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We have the metrics on these now, guys. So many years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago at ESPN, we did a breakdown of this when we first had some of the statistics that they still have access to, and I can look some things up too. And the top two players in the league in clutch situations at points created, that would be either a basket they made, free throws they made, or a shot they created for a teammate. Number 1 and 2 in the league were Chris Paul and LeBron James because they made the right play, not the hero play. And that's where I think coaches are forced to kind of almost suck up to the players because they don't want to get fired if a player turns on them, and it's a mistake from management. This is where the best teams have the best culture, and that culture allows the coach to coach his stars. That just is not a winning shot. There's a company in L.A., Second Spectrum, that could tell you exactly what Jimmy Butler's shooting percentages are in that situation, guarded by that particular player or that size player from that spot on the court. I'd rather see an action where you force the defense to read, and then the offense has to read what's going on too, where you got a chance to get fouled, you got a chance to get a higher percentage shot. You could always settle for something like that. Mm-hmm. I would rather that, and I think the teams that rely on that more often than not are going to be disappointed.
Very strong. Yeah, good answer as always.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Coaches, I don't think are lazy. I think they're afraid to challenge their stars. You know.
Has the culture changed in Sacramento, or is it too early to tell?
That's a great question. Here's what I think. I think Dave Yeager is a fine coach. I don't think he's great. Mm-hmm. I always thought he could be great. I still think he can get to be great. He's not there now, but without question, he seems more relaxed to me. I've watched him from the sidelines. Listen, they've got talented players. They've been drafting so high for it. Buddy Hield's good. He's not great. Mm-hmm. He might get great, but he's good now. Willie Cauley-Stein, he's good. Mm-hmm. Like they've got talented guys. De'Aaron Fox is probably going to be great. They're still not as deep as they need to be to, in my opinion, even make a real playoff run. I wouldn't be surprised as a team like the Spurs or Minnesota, now that they've made their adjustments, or maybe the Pelicans add a player. Utah looks dead to me, but that could change a little bit. We already talked about Houston. If all those teams kind of move up, it doesn't look like anyone up top of the top 8 in the West is going to move down, except for maybe Memphis, which means the Kings will get squeezed out as those teams kind of ascend. But they've got a talented group. Marvin Bagley's certainly a talented player. I think that Dave has helped get out of the way and get some of the garbage out of the way and let the talent come through. And they're playing super fast with a young athletic team. That's a good recipe. You
know, it was fun to watch the Clippers. And that's not going to last, having the 1 seed in the West. But I'll tell you, Doc's doing a good job there. And Harris had 34 the other night in the win at Portland.
Harris, I've been such a fan for him for so long. The kid, I think he was drafted, he was 18 years old. He's still somewhat young. He's been in the league forever. Gallinari is an underrated player and always has been. He was the best player for Denver and George Karl's last year when Golden State upset them, Mark Jackson's last go-round. But Gallinari was hurt and healthy. That team probably, who knows, they even break the team up if he was healthy and they win that series. Harrell's an underrated player. Daryl Morey drafts great in Houston. Should have kept him. We know how good Lou Williams is as a scorer. The rookie Alexander's got talent. Boban in spots, and then Beverly sets a tone defensively. I watched him play the Wizards the other night. Shelvin Mack is a long-time NBA veteran. He's a guy that they were playing the Grizz. He's a guy that was a great college player, and he did not want to bring the ball up the court against Beverly. Like, he's just happy to pass the ball away, and it really gave Memphis some problems. He just sets a defensive mindset, and this is, I think, guys, when Doc is at his best, is when he's got a group of guys with no expectations, and his charisma kind of shines through, and the guys just love competing for him. I don't know that they'll win the West. I wouldn't think they would, especially when Curry gets back. I think the Warriors will run away with it. But they look like a legit playoff team. They have a lot of good players. Yep.
Hey, one thing on the Cavaliers, they had a really good weekend. I know they lost last night to the T-Wolves, but to go back-to-back and to look as impressive as they did with their 2 wins on Friday and Saturday nights, I'm not going to ask you if you think they would actually lose to Duke, because I think it's absolutely preposterous, but that was all over national TV in your former spot, right, with ESPN last week. Everybody's saying Duke could actually – do you think the players actually – think they hear that in the locker room? They're like, come on, this is ridiculous, and they actually get motivated for a little bit?
Oh, I think the first part's right. I think they say, come on. I don't think the second part – I don't think they get motivated at all. It's one of the most nonsensical ideas ever put forth by anyone of mild intelligence. I don't know who – I think they said – Jay Billis said it first. I don't really pay attention to what the college guys say. It's beyond ridiculous. I don't even know where to begin with how stupid it is. And we've already seen Duke lose a college game.
Yeah.
So it just makes no sense to me. Cleveland has some issues. They lost the world's best player over the last 10 years, and I think they were missionless. I don't know that they really knew what they were supposed to be doing. And but young players tend to figure stuff out over time, and they obviously have young talent. Sexton is a guy that I'm excited about, and they've got pride. These guys don't want to lose. I mean, they've only won 4, but they don't want to keep losing games. These guys want to continue to fight, at least until you get to the All-Star break, and then it's Tank City, and the players will compete, but not to the level they need to, because they know it doesn't matter.
At Coach Thorpe on Twitter, you tweeted this out the pod. I'm curious what the discussion was, because you told the Dwight Howard story last year about people reaching out to help with the free throw shooting. I know Rick Barry always talked about these guys have got to go granny. But what was your discussion on free throw technique on that podcast?
Oh, so I mean, basically, I think a lot of time, I don't remember what I said on that particular podcast, but just generally speaking in the free throws, some players with big hands don't know how to place them on the ball. I think Haberstroh was talking about how he studied this, and just because you have big hands doesn't necessarily mean you can't shoot free throws. Of course, that's true. Jordan and Kobe had big hands, but you do have to learn how to play. I mean, literally, you have to teach these guys sometimes how to put their hands on the ball, because they've got too much surface area, especially with both hands. So something I've suggested to guys with really big hands is learn how to shoot with just one hand. You only use 2 hands on the ball in a game because you're moving, because defenses can block it. But on a free throw line, no one's allowed to block it. You're allowed to put the ball in one hand. It's a form we use to practice shooting all the time, one-hand shooting, even from three-point line. You don't need the other hand to do anything but hold the ball onto it when you're moving, and they're just not moving or jumping on a free throw. So these guys should be practicing. Those guys, like Andre Drummond as an example, who's I think the worst free throw shooter, one of the 2 or 3 worst in the league. Put one hand under the ball and just learn how to release it so it comes off your index and middle finger, about 60-40 index to middle finger, and put those fingers in the middle of the rim. That's what I teach all my players and my son. And you don't need the second hand on there in the free throw. If you want to put it later, that's fine. It's just because it looks better, but it shouldn't have any impact on the shot. And these guys are putting 2 huge mitts on the ball, and they're almost like blocking their own shot.
Great job. Kawhi, big hands as well. We'll talk to you next week. Appreciate the time. Well done, sir.
Thanks, Coach.
Look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Yep, there you go. David Thorpe.
That thing about, I think Shaq said, I don't want to look ridiculous. DeAndre Jordan, other guys, you're hitting the side of the backboard with your free throws. And that whole Rick Barry thing about going granny. And
I got news for you.
When you're shooting 50% from the line, I got news for you. It's not working.
Hey, in this day and age, if a player that shoots 35% from the line normally, like shooting normally, right overhand, if he would actually try it to go underhand, like Rick Barry has said for years, and he would turn into a 75 or 80.
That's what he says.
Do you understand how popular that player would become and how that would take off on social media in this crazy world that we live in?
Think of that. I don't want to look ridiculous, Shaq said. As you're, shooting air balls or barely hitting the rim. You're 40. You're already past that. You're hitting 48%. This is great with college football. I know Dan Wetzel made great points about, this is ridiculous. Should be the first round of the 18 playoff. But from a betting standpoint, rematch after rematch after rematch, and the history and how does that work and how do you handicap? For example, UAB and Middle Tennessee played last week. Middle Tennessee kicked their butt. You had it last year. Fresno and Boise played back-to-back. Fresno won, and they lost, although it was a different venue. This is the same for Middle Tennessee. Memphis and Central Florida, rematch. Utah, Washington, rematch. Texas, Oklahoma, rematch. Fresno, Boise, rematch. So that's always a tough handicap, how that works, and just some terrific tweets from Chris Felica, too, the Bear, about the rematch angle, but also as we see some big point spreads. How about this? Underdogs of at least 7 points in Power 5 championship games have lost 14 straight, dating back to Clemson's upset over Vatech in 2011. Since 2006, such dogs are 1-19 straight up.
Wow.
How about it?
Well, remember last year in the Big 12? It was a rematch between Oklahoma and TCU. Didn't they kill them both times? Regular season and in the Big 12 title game?
Yep. Double-digit dogs in Power 5 championship games have lost 13 straight, going back to Florida State's upset win over Vatech in 2005. 5-8 ATS in that span. So when you look at that, be careful with the Northwestern can do it, and Lafayette, and you got a 17.5, Bama's 13.5, Clemson, just forget about it, 25. They're actually going to be angry. I see Sweeney was. Did I mention that on air?
No.
Sweeney was bothered by the fact that they won by 3 touchdowns, and people were like, boy, you didn't look good. Give a lot of points.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now? Mm-hmm. People are frustrated with it? Okay. And this Mac Brown thing is an embarrassment. I can't believe North Carolina did that.
It's official as of right now, by the way.
Getting rid of Fedora, good move. You had to. That guy ran Texas into the ground. Into the ground. And the stories, I had the list in front of me years ago. I go off the top of my head. RG3, Andy Dalton, Andrew Luck. I'm trying to think so many other guys who were from the area or wanted to go to Texas, and he wouldn't even give them a phone call.
Yeah, wouldn't even talk to him.
I think Winston, too, on that list.
Was it another one?
I mean, Luck wouldn't call him back. Luck said he wouldn't call him back.
Well,
Dalton's from Katy, Texas.
They're all from right there, yeah.
RG3 went to Baylor. Baylor sucked when he went there. Mm-hmm. Won a Heisman. I mean, look at that. What he did for that program. And he's like, nah. And the quarterback play was atrocious, the guys he brought in. RG3, Dalton, Winston, Luck. No, I'm good.
Yeah, after Young and McCoy, he must have just said, I can make this work with anybody I want to.
And he totally quit coaching, and it was more about, okay, now I've got all this stuff with the network stuff and this other business. So now he's going, all right, it's not working out at Texas. I'll go into TV. And now at that age, I'm going back into coaching, back where I was at North Carolina.
Yep, I did see. So if USC, they're going to keep Clay Helton, per the news that we got yesterday, right? Colin Cowherd had a good point yesterday. He said it's a no-brainer. You must bring in Cliff Kingsbury as the OC. Yeah. They have to change that offense up. They're going to have talent. They have talent every single year.
Well, that was the report that Mac was going to get Kingsbury and Chiswick.
Right.
OCDs.
Right.
Well, he'll be a hot. Yeah,
if you're USC, make the move right now. Do something like that because of the offense. By the way, you can get VSiN's all-access subscription package through the Super Bowl. It's only $79. All-access means everything we do, including Point Spread Weekly, VSiN's digital magazine for sports bettors. And this week we did have College Rivalry Week. It was loaded with great stuff, more than 100 pages. Coming up, we're going to have the College Bowl Guide, and you're going to get 24/7 video stream and replays on VSiN.com and the VSiN app, only $79, $20 off the regular price of $99. And if you order now, we're going to throw in a $20 discount on merchandise in the VSiN store. Get your holiday shopping done early and create more VSiN followers among your friends and family. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. We have win some, lose some to get into, including, in case you missed it last night, a gigantic upset in college basketball on the West Coast.
And we're back with more Follow the Money on Sirius XM 204. Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard have the mics for the information you need to win.
Thanks for checking in. We're live in Vegas, South Point Sportsbook as always. Let's head across town now. Nick Bogdanovich is kind enough to wake up on Tuesdays at this time. He is the Director of Trading at William Hill Sportsbooks. Nick, good morning. Let's begin with the Notre Dame USC finish with the point spread and how that took place and the overall swing. I know I saw David Purdum's column, probably more than $1 million over at William Hill. I'm guessing every game included over the weekend. That had to have been the biggest result, right, for you guys?
Oh, for sure. And it was more like $2 million, and that was just here in Nevada. So it was, and you then factor in all the other properties in Nevada. There was ton of liability going to USC. The Notre Dame USC game. One gentleman in particular had 4 live parlays going himself, all for pretty big dollars. And then you factor in we were a couple 100,000 high on straight bets and everything live. It was a late game, so it was a massive decision for us. And fortunately, we got the ultimate backdoor cover. It was, but Notre Dame was lucky.
Right.
They're just trying to get a first down. It's 3 minutes left, and the guy breaks 151 yards. Notre Dame had no business covering that game whatsoever, period. So lots of times when someone comes through the back door, it's really a bad beating. But in this case, I really didn't feel too bad.
Any idea if that better hedged since he had the first 3 in?
No idea, but if I was a betting man, I would say no.
All right. And was that our friend who likes to dance around town with a duffel bag?
I would say that would probably be correct.
Okay, very good. We narrowed it down. You go to Metallica last night?
I did not know they were in town. I went to a wrestling practice and came home and went to bed. I didn't see any of the NFL game. I just know it was favorite and over, so that was not a good result.
No, okay. What's now with Rhode Island? We're up to 8 states. You're a bookmaker. What's the line in 2 years? How many states it'll be legal in?
In 2 years, I'm going to say 21 and a half.
Oh my God!
Ooh.
Wow.
And what does it mean for the company when California happens?
Well, the California is the ultimate game changer. Obviously, it's the 6th or 7th biggest economy in the world, and it's I think it's probably the reason Las Vegas it is what it is today. I mean, Southern California's just kept Vegas going forever during good times and bad. But yeah, no, that would be incredible. I don't know how it would be dispersed out, but you certainly want to be involved. That's for sure.
What are your weekends like? It's just you sitting in front of the screen, just looking at all these bets from all over the country now, right? And accepting this, accepting that, and is that your whole day now?
Yeah, I mean on Saturdays, my day's just the same. It's just busier. I get there at 6. Start putting up the college basketball, college football, whatever. Start taking bets. Leave there about 8. Grab something to eat, go to sleep, come back about 6:30 on Sundays, and leave about 6 the next day. So the weekends are, about 24 and a half hours of nonstop action and work. But the weekends are infinitely better than my weekdays. The weekdays are involved with interviews and hiring and meetings and budgets and all that. Where any one of those 5 days, I'm the favorite to put a gun to my head. But the weekends, when it's just gambling, it's just that's what I'm made for.
Okay.
How about Sunday? Did Sunday in the NFL, was that the definition of a roller coaster where it looked like the Patriots coming in, Ravens coming in like that? It looked like it was going to be a really, really bad day, great day for the bettors. But then I'm guessing it reversed with Denver knocking out Pittsburgh. Chargers, I'm sure, did you no favors. And then Sunday night, you needed the Vikings to come through, and they did?
Yeah, Sunday was bad. It set up bad. We got away with it. I mean, the Broncos game was huge. I mean, Pittsburgh outgained them like 505 to 304. We got on Sunday night. I mean, we needed a favor, which is very, very rare. and the game staying under was really big. So, yeah, the combination of Denver outright and Vikings and under definitely saved their bacon on Sunday because we were in a spot of bother, as they say.
Are you glad the college football season's winding down? Because you get up. I mean, the Alabama. It doesn't matter what we're talking to Jeff Sherman an hour ago. It doesn't matter what the number is. They're going to bet it. First half game, whatever. Second half.
Nah, I wish college football was year round. It's a fantastic sport. It's great. It really is. It's my favorite. Well, maybe second to college basketball, but I don't know. It's pretty close. Any college sports I'm involved with. It's been a great year. I mean, it really has. I mean, the action's been crazy, and I think we're going to get a very interesting Final Four. I wish it was a Final Eight, but it's unfortunately we're stuck with the Final Four, and I'm hoping Georgia upsets Alabama and really makes things interesting.
Who do you think you're going? Well, what do you think that line goes to, and will you need Georgia?
Well, I think we'll need Georgia, but small. I mean, Georgia's a monster the last 4 weeks. Remember, they lost the NFL, so it took Kirby Smart a while to get his troops rallied, but they're playing at a super high level now. We opened the Alabama-Georgia game 13.5. The Sharps are on the dog, so I think we'll need Georgia small. I think the way Georgia has treated the bettors the last month, there'll be plenty of Georgia money come Saturday.
Would you have the Bulldogs rated as the third best team in college football? Bama, Clemson, Georgia, all ahead of Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Oklahoma?
I would.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, even if they lose, unless they get blown up by, like Paul Stone was saying yesterday, unless they get blown up by 4 touchdowns, with a loss, I think they're going to remain number 3 as in the overall power ratings.
Yeah, I would say so for sure. It's just obviously, the bowl committee is obviously a different thing. They like that win-loss thing. So, yeah, I guess if it beats Alabama, they're going to send Alabama, Georgia, and Clemson and Notre Dame, and the other 2 will be out. But I don't know if Georgia loses, obviously they're going to take Oklahoma or Ohio State, and I don't really know how you choose between them. Maybe they can send one of their offenses and then both of their defenses. They can put their best 11 men out, but then you'd probably only be sending 5 guys anyway.
Yeah, right.
Neither team's defense could stop me, you, and 7 guys we pulled out of Sunset Park.
Yeah. Amen to that. Nick Bogdanovich, Director of Trading at William Hill, fuboTV, VSiN, Follow the Money, Pauly and Mitch. How was Tiger Phil?
You know what? It was a lot better than I expected. I mean, the handle was good. The interest was good. They bet the props. So, I was shocked. I don't know why people found that thing interesting. I really don't. At the end, we needed Tiger, because it turned into be like a fight in Las Vegas. They always bet the dog, and so we lost a little. But I was definitely surprised by the handle, and hopefully people remember that come golf season.
And you won on the Duke prop, but I mean, like you said, you got so much pub and free publicity from the Kentucky thing years ago. It didn't have a chance to really take off, but only one bet on the no as Duke goes down, the undefeated prop. I'll tell you, Nick, another homework assignment. They go to Creighton, then they play Tennessee on a neutral, then they go to Carolina. It might be time to look at Gonzaga, regular season.
Yeah, I was thinking of sticking up Gonzaga regular season and Nevada regular season, just because Nevada's here, but they got such a tough road schedule. They got like 6 brutal games in a row, and then South Dakota State at home, and then the Mountain West. So. But I think, maybe I'll do those both regular season only. Obviously, the whole season is only for a Kentucky or Duke with 42 first-round picks in the NBA.
Good idea. You see, you're so big in Nevada. That'd be a good idea with the local team. Excellent idea to put that up. What do you think?
Yeah, I went and watched them at the Orleans. I watched them play UMass. They're talented. I mean, their whole starting 5 is 6'7" or taller. He's got all sorts of weapons, and Musselman's a great coach. So I think they're ranked 5th in the nation now. And if they stay healthy and he keeps blending that talent with the newbies, they're going to be a major factor come March.
What do you think tonight? They're laying 5 at Loyola.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what? I just got up and pulled in. I didn't know the line, but to me that seems a little light. Loyola's way down from last year's squad. Reno's playing at a high level, and there's always revenge. So my initial thought would be it's too light.
Okay, very good. How about Duke, Lane, like 14 tonight against Indiana?
That's a hell of a game. The ACC Big Ten clash, huh? That sounds probably about right, but my initial thought would be to take the dog. Anytime you can get a quality team getting 14, it's not obviously we know how Duke is very, very good, but they're not, right now they're not the greatest team that ever walked the face of the earth.
Yeah, I'll give you another one. Michigan State, they were impressive out here in Las Vegas over the holiday weekend. They take on Louisville on the road. Chris Mack has that team playing pretty well, but Michigan State's been a really nice story this year. They lost a lot from a year ago, but they're laying like 4 or 5 tonight.
Yeah, it's funny. I do a radio show in Michigan every week, and he from East Lansing, and the guy was out here, and he was at the Michigan State games, and he was raving about the job Izzo's doing with his team. So I'd have to say, yeah, I mean, that sounds about right, but okay. I'd lean towards Sparty, but I think that number's about right.
All right, thanks for getting up early. We'll see you soon. Well done. Thanks.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Thanks,
there it
Nick.
is. Largest in-play wagering menu every single day, William Hill US on Twitter. The entertaining Nick Bogdanovich. His best line may have been, I hadn't seen him for a couple years, and I just met the ex, and we were walked past Nick, and he goes up to her. Didn't know her. Never didn't know who she was. Says, I make numbers for a living. You're a 10. I go, all right. She didn't say anything. I go, thank you. I'm going to use that. See if that works.
Try it.
Get that.
Get back to me. I'll full report here.
Well, hey, I can do it 100 times. All I need is one yes.
That's all you need, yeah.
But that I'll put my own unique spin on it. Maybe somehow, some way, it'll lead to the question, what do you do? That could go.
It won't.
Come on.
No, I'm kidding. Try it 100 times. I want to see how many times it works.
I have a good answer to the question, what do you do? And I have a girlfriend.
Gun to the head.
Gun to the head.
I mean,
I'm a favorite. I love the gambling. He throws the gambling lingo in there. Monday through Friday, I'm a favorite to put a gun to my head. When you sit down and have lunch with those guys, it's great how they talk. Well, I don't condone that. But as far as, I make it about $1.20, and, I got to take the kids out.
Always.
He's plus 140 to ask for ice cream on the way home, and I got to do through that shit. That's how they talk. It's hilarious.
It's always the case. And by the way, you can throw anything at them. Anything. In sports, out of sports, lifestyle questions, whatever. And they'll just automatically a number pops into their head. Doesn't make a difference what it is. Vaccaro's been the same way.
Good job with Nevada. That's good.
Let me give you their schedule.
Oh, sure.
Because this would really take off. Tonight against Chicago. On the road. They play at USC.
Okay.
Saturday, December 1st. They have Arizona State, Grand Canyon, South Dakota State, and Akron.
Where's the game? Arizona State?
That is in Staples Center.
Oh, yeah, I got that again.
So that said...
They're up to... they're undefeated again, but... That's funny. They lost a lot of guys, but they're still playing well.
Oh, so they're a part of this Sunday doubleheader in Phoenix against Grand Canyon. It looks like they play on the back end of that as Tennessee takes on Gonzaga. 2 weeks from now, basically, on the 9th. They get South Dakota State, the Dominator.
Jackrabbits.
That's up in...
a couple losses.
That's up in Reno. And then they play at Utah to finish out the year. That is on December 29th.
Are you tracking what these guys did in their draft, where they're playing for $30,000, $40,000?
No, because I don't have the draft.
You don't have the.
I never got the details
of
it.
It's fun to pay attention to, at least. Well, I understand that. That's fair. But in terms of like the small teams that are off to a hot, I told Charlie I go, Charlie, here's my scouting report. You got to take Belmont. So every time they win, I let them have it. They're 5-0. They're going to win like 30 games, 20
Score a lot
games.
Of points, too.
But that's what you're up against. So I gave them Buffalo, but someone took Buffalo second round. I mean, they're ranked. A couple of weeks, they go to Marquette and Syracuse back-to-back.
Blew out Arizona last year in the tournament. Had a lot of those guys back.
Won at West Virginia already.
Yeah. Good team.
And I think Charlie got Furman late. I think he said that was one of his sleepers. He took Furman.
All right. 7-0 now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Beating Loyola on the road and at Villanova.
Strong.
Good for them.
All right, let's follow the money on Sirius XM 204 and fuboTV. We'll get to some in-pocket plays coming up next. Gil's going to join us as well. So going back to last year, the day after the Eagles, actually I think it was the night of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, Gil said, the Texans are his pick this year. Does he really believe in this team? Is he buying the Texans still right now with this 8-game winning streak? We'll ask Gil about it coming up next.